Welcome to Honest Combos with Karen.
And Marcia. We're longtime biz besties bringing you along for the journey of building a business and life you actually want.
No fluff, no filters, just honest conversations about the highs, the lows, and everything in between.
So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's get into it.
Okay, welcome back. We are going to talk today about motivation, which is a topic that I think it can get people excited or make people be like rolling their eyes because I feel like there's so much online about like hustle, 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 grind, grind, grind. If you're not doing anything, you're just lazy. And Marcia and I don't agree with that. We really understand that motivation is a deeper topic than I think what most people make it seem like it is, because there's so many factors that go into where your motivation lies. And it connects to a lot of the stuff we've already talked about with the alignment conversation and just so many things. So this will be a good one, I think. What do you think, Marcia?
Motivation is when you have it, it's amazing, and you just want to like bottle it up and put it in a jar because you're like, oh my god, I'm so motivated to like do this or do that or whatever. But it is based on emotions and how you're feeling. So it's not an actual sustainable approach for entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship is basically just ups and downs, constantly ebbs and flows. And so you just can't rely on motivation. I think you can rely on momentum. And I think that comes from being in alignment, doing the work that you're supposed to do. But yeah, like motivation is great. And I think there are ways which I would like to talk about, Karen, like ways that you find motivation, but like I think there are ways to kind of spark yourself into being motivated. So like either if it's like having a morning routine or maybe it's writing or journaling, like I think that that can help create it, but depending on it is not a good idea. So don't do it.
No, yeah, really don't. And because it really is a mood. I think that's the thing. Like it really is like, what do you feel like right now, today, when you woke up? And that's like, I love that you said like having kind of like good routines can help cultivate the right mood and environment for you to get motivated. But it's not, you can't plan your way into motivation. Like you can't make a strategy to get motivated. Like it really is more about how you feel and like how much do you desire the thing, like how, if you feel it's go time, if you're feeling like pumped up and ready to roll, your that motivation is being created. Like it doesn't just like plop into your lap out of nowhere. Like you're creating the motivation. Maybe there's a set of circumstances that are getting you in the motivated mood. When people have bills to pay and mouths to feed, they find a whole lot of they dig deep and find a whole lot of motivation that they didn't even know they had. So it really is like there's circumstances, but that are going to help you create like that mood. But it's not a plan. Like that's why I like the hustle, the grind, like forcing yourself, pushing yourself. That is not my favorite way to be motivated. I prefer to be motivated in a way that's more flowy. Like I know this is the goal. We talked about alignment, last time. Like when you're in alignment, like your values, your goals, your strategies, everything's lining up and everything is kind of flowing. It's like a river, right? It's just flowing. Then you're feeling good about it. And then you're feeling motivated to make it happen. Like it's a mood. It's all about, it really is feelings based. So I think that's where people will struggle because and feel like they're being lazy when they're not motivated. But that's because you haven't had the right ingredients to create the right mood to get you into motivation. So that's where you would want to focus because no amount of focusing or pushing or hustling and grinding is going to make you automatically get motivated.
Yeah, if anything, it's just gonna deplete you even more, right? And then everything is gonna be forced, and then you'll never find that motivation because guess what? You're burned out now. Because you've been waiting on this feeling. You've been waiting for something to kickstart your energy. Yeah, it doesn't work. So before we started recording, we were talking about the timing and like how Karen and I both feel like a sense of not even like urgency, but we both feel like right now is the time to be doing what we're doing. And before that, I mentioned after the working for the luxury builder, I was 100% burned out and like just physically, emotionally, spiritually, like I felt like a bump on a log, like there was just nothing there. But like now, Karen and I, like we are motivated, but it's because the timing is right. Like there's that sense of urgency to do what we're doing and creating the Success Secret Society. Like we know it's something that the world needs right now. It's something that her and I need. And everything with that, because it's in alignment, everything has just kind of been unfolding on its own. And it's just been like a beautiful experience. But like we had all of the information and know how that we needed before we actually put things into motion with this, but, like, there just wasn't that sense of urgency, like, we just didn't feel like now was the right time. Well, we didn't even give it any thought, it just wasn't a thought, like, we had the Charm Cardinal Society, we had Femme Working, we had these different groups that we had belonged to, and it wasn't a thought in our mind like, "Let's create another group for people, another support group," but then now the timing is right, and so everything has just unfolded, and so I love that, you saying to go with the flow and it's like a river and, that's why I feel like if you put too much pressure on yourself to go with your emotions and to be motivated and it just doesn't work. It doesn't. And it will cause burnout. My burnout was something different, but I think that the more easygoing that you can go on yourself, and obviously the more aligned that you are, the easier things will be. And you just have to kind of trust that the next step will show itself to you and then take action from there.
I love that you brought the timing in. And we had an episode in our previous version of the podcast where we talked about trusting the timing. And so we might have to maybe do a recast or, unearth that conversation because it was a really good one. And timing does matter. Like you might think, oh, I've been, trying to do this for so long, or, it's not working out, or it's not exactly what I wanted it to be. And then you look back at your journey, and maybe there are some different timing based factors that affected how motivated you may have been at different points. Like if you have young kids, like your timing and your ability to do a thing is going to be way different than an empty nester, right? Someone whose kids are, or even someone with teenagers where their kids are older and don't need the daily interact, to do as much as when they're little. But another thing I was thinking about that came up was like just the fact that we are just conditioned, I feel like, to always be going. And like when we're not in the mood to go, something's wrong with us, right? Like, oh, now I'm being lazy or bump on the log. I'm rotting, as the kids say nowadays. Like if you are just feeling that way, it's not healthy to beat yourself up about it. The better place to put your energy, I think, is really unpacking it. Like, why am I just completely drained? Why am I, and maybe that is burnt out. Maybe it is just fatigue from the constant grind and hustle mode you've been in. Maybe it's just, this isn't the goal that I want anymore. Maybe your bigger picture has changed and you haven't had a check in on that in a while. Like, there can be so many reasons why you're feeling a little disconnect and not feeling motivated. And what would happen if you don't beat yourself up about it? Like, I can't say that enough. Like, do not be like, oh my God, I shoulda, I coulda, I woulda, why didn't I? Because that is just such an unhealthy cycle, or, it'll put you in a tornado of doom. And it's not helpful. So really spend your energy like unpacking it, thinking about why, and then doing a little bit of a reset, right? That's why I love our challenge that just wrapped up. By the time this episode comes out, it would have just finished. And like, that reset was like really helping people just hit a button and just kind of rethink these different areas that can all affect how motivated you are to go for those goals because really they might not even be what you want anymore. And sometimes it's hard to admit that, especially when you've built a business around something and you're like, do I actually even want to do this? Like that's a big thing to realize that maybe this isn't the business you want to run anymore. Maybe this isn't the job you want to be at anymore. Maybe, like there, and we're not a relationship podcast, but it can also be, that can also be a factor. Maybe there's a relationship that's holding you back and that you're not really wanting to be in anymore. There's just so many factors that it really is important to unpack it versus just kind of beat yourself up about, I'm so lazy. I'm not doing anything. I'm not making it happen. It just can be a really destructive cycle.
I have been laughing since you said tornado of doom because I like the image that I got in my head and like the way that I related to that on a cellular level is out there. But yeah, like this was something that I learned the first time I was on the TikToks, and there was a woman who she's a therapist, and she would say, rest is required, it's not a reward. And so, whenever you are doing that, where you're in that masculine energy of, I have to produce, I have to create, I have to, yeah, basically, like, I have to be doing something at all times, like, everything has to be productive. It it's not good. It's not good for your psyche, it's not good for your relationships and your self-worth because you start to think like you think that you're only valuable if you're producing and if you're yeah, so I'm glad that you said that because you really do have to unpack that. It's like, because I mean, I fall into those phases too where I'm like, I get really tired in the afternoon. Thank you, perimenopause. But I always was a napper, so I can't really blame it on Perry. But like he's contributing, I think, to my energy levels and everything. But I will lay down and I'll just think about my poor, sweet, loving husband who's at work. And he's a tennis pro, so he has a very active job. He loves it though, which is good. He's very in aligned with like what he's doing. So but he'll be at work, sometimes there's air conditioner issues or he's teaching out because there's not room in the bubble, and so he'll be in the heat, and I'll just be, like, living my perfect princess life, and I'll be laying down, and I'll just, like, start thinking about it, and I'll get really guilty, and I'll be like, "Oh, I shouldn't be laying here, I shouldn't be resting and relaxing because and so that but then it's like I don't actually get the benefit of resting because my freaking mind is going. So something I like to do is I'll do like guided meditations where the person's actually talking to you and they're like, okay, inhale, hold for 5, exhale, hold for 6, and that will help me slow down my brain. But um yeah, I like what you were saying about that because like and I think too, dealing with mental health issues like depression and everything, I think whenever people are down, they always forget that there's going to be an up, like they just get so stuck in it, in the slog. And you're like, I'm never, ever going to be motivated again in my life. And it's like, guess what? After you have that cup of Nespresso tomorrow morning, you're going to be fine. You're just tired right now, Marsh. Like, it's 7 p.m. It's been a long day, whatever. So, just, like not allowing yourself to get stuck because everything in life is in motion. Everything. There's always going to be ups and downs. There's always going to be ebbs and flows and all of that. So just knowing that, like, yeah, you might not be motivated now. When you are motivated, obviously, like, do what you can do, get it done, but just don't depend on it. But keep in mind, like, with your thoughts, like your the TFAR, the thoughts create your feelings and then actions and then results. And so just know that like your brain can be your worst enemy and to tell her to shut up.
No, that's so important because it really isn't, you're not gonna get motivated by doing more stuff. Like that's not what, like we said, it's not the plan, it's the mood. And so, yeah, you really do have to start with like, what are the things that are running through your mind when you're feeling motivated? Like pay attention to that. And then what are the things running through your mind when you're not feeling motivated? Pay attention to that. Noticing is really the start. Like you have to notice. You have to really think your thoughts out loud in your head. Like, don't let them just pop by and then create a feeling and you didn't even really notice what you were thinking. Like, you have to really slow it down and pay attention. So, I do like you brought in the meditation because that is important too. That does help. You know, we're woo adjacent here. So we dabble in the woo-ness, but we don't like promote the woo-ness, but we definitely do bring in some woo tools because I love motivation meditation. Like meditation is definitely a good one. Whether you're new to woo or an oldie moldy wooer, meditation is like a great place to start. And you can find a lot of good ones on YouTube if you just like put in like mindful meditation or something. It's important. Like, just start to notice because as you do this kind of work and you start to get aligned, you're going to get excited and you're going to start like wanting to move forward, but you have to like listen to all the thoughts because there'll be those little, devils on your shoulder or whatever they call it that will start to pop up and then it'll demotivate you if you allow it. You can get into a motivated place, like your mood is popping and you're ready to go. And then, some stuff pops up in your head and then next thing you know, you're like, oh, I'll just do it later. Maybe I'll do it later. And you just kind of demotivate. So watch out for that too, because that's a silent killer.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of the reset challenge was the detox the doubt, where it's like just, whenever you're doing these things and whenever you're doing your work, like there's always going to be doubt just because that's your brain, like the pathways that have been created from having negative thoughts over and over and over again. So just removing that doubt or just looking at it. Yeah, like, having, like, I think that was Eckhart Tolle who he talks about, like, be the watcher of your mind and just look at from an outsider's view, like, whenever you're saying stuff to yourself that's really mean, be like, "Would Karen say that to me?" Karen would not, in fact, say that because if she did, I would not be friends with Karen because that's mean, but, it's like just yeah, like, definitely, I think that's a really good point because, like, when you are motivated and you are doing your work, like, sometimes and that's like a self-sabotage too, like, you can be like, "Oh, something is afoot here, so don't do that." I do that all the time. It's so hard when you're, like, in it? And that's part of, like, being an entrepreneur, being a solopreneur, like, you're creative, you have 1,000,000,000 thoughts, you're probably a visionary, and, it's a blessing and it's a curse, but, you know, just always be aware.
Yeah, no, I like that you said that. It's a blessing and a curse. Yeah. And that's, I think, why the community aspect matters so much that we talk about all the time is like, because when you have people around you that get it and have been through it, go through it, because it's never like we say all the time, like this is a forever journey. You're never gonna arrive someday at a magical place where you no longer have negative thoughts or you always feel motivated or like you're always gonna be working towards that vision, that next level, new level, new devil. Like there's always something that you're going for and working toward, whether that is a goal that you've had for 10 years or a goal that you made today. Like it's always something that you're working toward. So I think that's where like community really is important because having a group of people that you can talk to about it, that aren't going to judge you, that they'll be like, "Oh my God, me too. This is how I work through it." Or, just to hold space and listen. Sometimes you don't want solutions, okay? Like sometimes you just want to kind of vent and get that stuff out and just, have some people just shake their heads in like nod in agreement and be like, "Yeah, we get it." But you're not really looking to make your plan out of it yet. I mean, that's okay too. Like meeting you where you are. Like that is the biggest thing that helps you, I think, be able to continue from a place of strength and not feel defeated and not feel like something's wrong with me. I'm lazy. I'm behind. I'm just never gonna, change. Like those kind of thoughts, you can again be in that tornado of doom. And so I think community is a big part of like helping you stay out of that place or be in it for just a minute and then get out of it when you need to. Like, again, meeting you where you are.
That is a great lead-in, Karen, for us to announce that the application is live for the Success Secret Society. It went live yesterday. We will have it open until July 31st. And as Karen was saying, sometimes you really don't need advice. You don't need a framework. You don't need anything. You just want to vent and get it out. And as we've mentioned in the past, the secret part of the society is that everybody who joins has to sign a non-disclosure agreement that was drafted by an attorney, like a real one, not Chatty G. Like, it's the same one we use for the Charm Cardinal Society. It covers you so that, you can share openly and you can get whatever is on your mind out and just basically have like a safe and secure sisterhood to share and get the support that you need. So, the application will be open until July 31st. Once that's over, you can add yourself to the wait list. We are going to have open seasons just because when you get into a community like this, it's nice for everybody to kind of come in at the same time. So, we'll open it up again in the next few months. But yeah, so you have until July 31st to apply and get in at the founding member rate, which will also expire July 31st. So, Karen, do you want to share anything?
Yeah, just if have been listening to our podcast, if you went through the challenge, or, if this is the vibe that you're like, yeah, I want to hang out with those ladies, I definitely apply. Like, if there's any little nudge, I mean, applying doesn't mean joining yet, right? Like, but at least that is a first step towards joining, but it's not like you're making the commitment with the application. So don't feel like, oh my God, now I have to actually, join a sisterhood if I'm not 100% like ready. That's okay. But even the application will help you get some clarity. And if you just need to kind of stay in our community for a bit longer, we're okay with that. This is no pressure. I mean, we know that we're bringing some value. We know that this is a great thing that we're going to have this society, but we're not going to like harass you with 47 emails and 38 text messages to get you to join. Like, so I don't want you to think like, oh my God, if I apply, they're going to be bothered. No, we're not going to bother you. But we will remind you that this is a great thing, and that it's available. So definitely, if this is the vibe that you think you want to be hanging out with, put your application in for sure.
Karen said that because I literally signed up for a webinar yesterday. It was like the event started at 4 p.m. and I signed up, and I have gotten no less than like 20 emails and text messages. Luckily, I put my Google business number in, so I'm not getting them to my phone because I would be unhinged right now, a little more than. We just want to invite you to join us on this journey. But yeah, we're not tough salesmen, and we just want the people who are supposed to be there. And we look forward to seeing your application. And thanks to everyone who joined us on the reset challenge. That was fun and very enlightening. And I went along on each day too and went through the practices as a participant. So stay tuned for more opportunities like that in the future as well.
Hey, friend, loving this combo?
And don't keep it to yourself.
Hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling extra generous,
Leave us a quick review. It helps